So welcome everybody to the ATD Houston webinar this afternoon. My name is Ken Kahn. I am the Director of Virtual Technologies for ATD Houston. We have a great presentation for you today, and I can honestly say that because I have seen it and attended it myself. We have Ken Barber, who is the Manager of Learning and Development for Shell Oil Company. Ken's responsible for the training and development of 20,000 employees at Jiffy Lube International's 2,000 locations. Under Ken's leadership, the learning brand JLU, Jiffy Lube University, was created in 2008. And today, JLU has over 100 WBT, ILT, and VILT courses. And Ken can probably tell you what all those acronyms mean, which constitute the 10 certifications for store-level employees and managers. So the title of our presentation today is Embrace the Unexpected, so I encourage you to embrace it as well and enjoy the presentation. So Ken, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that, and sorry for the acronyms. The acronyms really stand for the different types of training courses we have. ILT is instructor-led training, CBT, computer-based training. So nothing to do with this presentation, but just to clarify that point. I am happy to be with you today. It's nice to have an opportunity to share my story with another group of people who are like me, trying to learn and grow and develop to be more efficient and successful in their careers. Give you a little background on my story. I was born and raised in Alabama, East Alabama. Those of you that are listening are probably thinking, oh, I thought he was from New Jersey, but no, it's actually from Alabama. And I went to school there, and while I was in college at Auburn, I co-opted with Texaco, and that kind of got me into the oil industry, and I continued my career with Texaco after graduation, and eventually moved to Houston, and I was with them until 2002, and then I left Texaco for about 4 years, and then came back into this role with Shell in 2006. So most of my adult life has been in the oil industry, and probably the last 15 or 20 have been in the area of learning and development. Something I have a real passion about, and something that I know probably many of you are familiar with or take advantage of in your own companies, if not as a role in learning. So with that said, let me, there we go, share with you the title of this presentation today is Embrace the Unexpected. It's kind of a nebulous term. It doesn't really ring a bell. What does that really mean? And I think at the end of this presentation you'll know exactly what it means. But to get us in the mindset, it's really about being aware of what's going on around you, knowing that anyone, any type of event, any type of experience even in life can teach us lessons that are valuable and can make a world of difference for us personally and professionally. And I'm going to share a couple of stories that happened to me and to my team that I think will demonstrate that very clearly. A little bit of context for the presentation is my role with Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube International is owned by Shell Oil Company. Most people don't know that. Even people within Shell don't know that. So if you didn't, don't be disappointed. But Shell purchased Jiffy Lube and Pennzoil back in 2002, I believe it was. And again, I came into the role in 2006. In the role, we have about 155 franchisees in the Jiffy Lube system who operate about 2,000 stores across North America. There are about 19 to 20,000 active employees at any given point in time. And with turnover, the number of people who take advantage of the training in Jiffy Lube University can be as much as 40,000 people. So that's a lot of training for a lot of folks. And every year we have about 2 million hours invested in learning, both through our training systems and on the job. We do all that with a team of just 8 people. So we get a lot done with a very small but significant team. And our system is fully franchised. So we don't have any company store operations. All the people we deal with are employees of a franchisee. So it makes for some unique challenges, but we've had a lot of success in that role. Here's a picture of our team, and really proud of this group and recognize them as the real contributors to our success. You see me there on the front row, second from the left, from the right, I should say. Next to me is Janet Harrison, who is part of the ATD chapter in Houston and is responsible for the programs, and you might have seen her name. She wasn't able to be on the call today because she's actually teaching a class. And I think I heard Tony Arista on the call. He is on the front row far left, so thanks, Tony, for being here with us today. And you can see the rest of the team. Most of the team spends their time out teaching classes to students across the country about 3 weeks out of the month, sometimes face-to-face, sometimes virtually. But we have a great team, and they do a great job. So that's the context of what I want to share with you today. And now let's get into the idea of embracing the unexpected. To do that, I think it's important that we recognize that these principles we'll talk about, this whole idea, really is about leadership. All of us are leaders, whether we like to think we are or not. We're leading someone. We are influencing someone, either in a good way or a bad way. And I believe one way to look at that is, as we go through life and as we are embracing the unexpected learning opportunities that come our way, we first have to be willing to look. We have to keep our eyes open so we don't miss those nuggets of gold. We have to keep our ears open so we can hear and learn from what we hear and see. And as we do that, obviously we will learn, but we have to take that learning and do something with it, or it doesn't help anyone but us, and that next logical step would be to lead. So think about look, listen, learn, and lead. And if we do that consistently in life, I think we're gonna have a much more impactful influence in our life and in the people that we touch. So to get to my story, I'm going to share with you 2 examples of unexpected opportunities that brought significant impact to me personally and professionally. The first one took place back in May of 2006. It's actually about 2-3 months before I took this job. So I was between jobs. I was actively looking for a job, and you know, that's a busy time. Any of you who have been there know that it's kind of stressful and a lot going on. Well, my wife came to me one afternoon and told me that we were going to be attending a high school graduation ceremony on that Saturday afternoon. And it was for a niece that I knew her, about, you know, not that close, but she was graduating from the Providence Classical School, not far from where we live. So here's one of those unexpected opportunities, perhaps, but I honestly didn't look at it that way at that point in time. I looked at it as, I got a choice here. Do I go to a high school graduation Do I listen to somebody talk to a bunch of high school seniors that I don't know, who probably will be boring in his presentation? It probably won't be much fun, and that's certainly an option. Another option would be to maybe stay home and maybe watch a game on TV, or just piddle around the house, or take a nap, or, you know, one of those kind of things that would really be nice. So which is it? Do I go, or do I stay? Well, you can't see me now, but you did see my picture, and I just want to let you know I'm not as dumb as I look, because I was smart enough to know my wife suggested we go. You know, the best answer to that is yes, dear. And so that's exactly what I said, and much to my surprise, it turned out to be a really, really impactful day. Way beyond probably what it impacted any of those seniors who were there in the audience. As Dr. Randall Pinnell spoke to the group, I realized he was really speaking to me. And what he did that day was share a story of a biblical character from the Old Testament by the name of Joseph. And those of you that are familiar with that story know that Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, and he had a lot of challenges, ended up in prison a couple of times, and eventually he rose to power. But I'd never heard that story presented the way Dr. Pinnell did for that group. He talked about the character traits of this character, Joseph, in terms of integrity in how he acted. No matter who was watching, he did what was right. Even when he was tempted to do wrong, he did what was right. And I thought, that's the way I want to live. I love that. And then he talked about excellence, the way he performed his work, wherever he was, in whatever role, even in a prison. He did his work so well that he always rose to positions of greater influence and power because of the excellence of his work. And I thought, excellence, that's what I want to be said about me and my team. If I ever get a chance to have a team, I want us to be a team of excellence. And then innovation. The solutions that Joseph came up with actually saved his people, saved his country, and made Egypt the most powerful nation in the world. And he was the second to Pharaoh in terms of power in that nation. So his innovative solutions were, again, something that I really identified with, thinking, you know, we need to be, I need to be a person, and I need to have a team someday that believes in innovation as part of what makes us who we are. So it was, as I said before, about 3 months after that I was fortunate enough to be hired into this role with Shell. And the first time our team met, we talked about these principles of integrity, excellence, and innovation, and how important they were for us as a team, and how I encouraged everyone to embrace those as part of who we are. It was about probably a year after I took the role that we came up with the idea of creating a learning brand called Jiffy Lube University. We did that so that our students would feel like they were completing training that was maybe more significant than just Jiffy Lube training. They were earning a certification through Jiffy Lube University. We thought that's a really great way to position our learning program, and then we could take kind of the university theme in much of what we do. And as we were trying to come up with a logo to represent the university, the members of my team said, you've got to include integrity, excellence, and innovation in the logo. And so I said, you know, the fact that you want it there, I certainly do. I think it's a great idea. So this is the logo that we came up with. And it has continued to be a reminder to us over the years that that's what we're built upon, that's what we're committed to, That's what we want to be known for. And so as I think back to that invitation that my wife presented to go to that high school graduation, I realized had I not gone, I would have missed that presentation. I would have missed that idea of integrity, excellence, and innovation. And who knows what would have happened or would not have happened in terms of my team and our university. So that was quite unexpected, but it had certainly a long-term effect on who we are and what we do. Now, the second example I want to share with you had to do with an unexpected invitation that I got through the email in the fall of 2009. I got this email from the Duke University Fuqua School of Business. They were telling me about a leadership conference, the annual conference led by Coach K, Coach Krzyzewski. And it also said that I was being offered free tuition. So I got the email, I read it, I thought about it, and being a little bit skeptical, my first thought was, yeah, I bet this is the way they do everyone's invitation, so they can get you there, and then that's when you really have to pay up. So I decided I want to check this out. So I made a phone call, and I talked with a lady there at the school and asked her about the conference, and she began to tell me the kind of companies that sent folks to the conference each year, and I was really impressed. And then she told me about the speakers that they had lined up, including Coach K, and I was even more impressed. And so I asked her, so how many of these free scholarships do you give out every year? And she said, 2. And I said, sign me up. I'll be there. So with that, I did attend the conference, and it was outstanding. I learned a lot from the speakers, but I think the unexpected thing that came from it, what I learned that really made the biggest impact, was when Coach K shared the story of the gold standard. And Tony can probably remember this from the days when I was talking about this with our team. Coach K, for those of you that are basketball fans, needs no introduction. Those of you that are sports fans probably know him just about as well. But if you don't, you can see the numbers there on the slide. Has 1,043 wins. That's the most of any men's college basketball coach in history. He's won 5 national championships. He actually won 1 the season right after I visited this conference. He was 12 times National Coach of the Year, and he was inducted in the Coaching Hall of Fame in 2006. So a very famous coach. And at this conference in 2009, he had just the previous year led the U.S. team to the gold medal in the Olympics. And he and his daughter wrote this book together. To give you a little background on the significance of his role in all of this and why winning that gold medal was so important, from the time men's basketball was introduced to the Olympic Games back in 1936, the U.S. had basically dominated the gold medal almost without exception. We invented the game. We were the best in the world at the game for many, many years, and we had won 12 gold medals during that time period. Only 2 times did we fail to win the gold medal. One was in 1988, and if you can remember, that was the year that the Soviet Union got 3 chances for a last 5-second play to end the game, and eventually the 3rd try they scored a point or scored a goal that won the game, and they won the goal, and was quite a controversial ending. The other time was in 2004, the previous Olympics, when we were just literally outplayed. We did not have the best team in the world, and it was an embarrassment to the basketball community in America, and it was something that they were determined to change. And to make that happen, they decided to hire Coach K to lead the team. Now, what he did was he came in and he introduced to this team, made up of all-stars from the NBA, a system for operating as a team similar to the one he used every year with every Duke University team, or even going back to the days he coached at Army. He believed in team standards rather than in rules. And I thought as he shared this, rules are far more common in how we are organized and how we operate as families, as clubs, as businesses, churches, you name it. This is kind of how we do it. The model says that we should have rules to follow. But obviously rules don't really promote. Rules are set by the leader, and then therefore they must be enforced by the leader. It puts a big focus on what individuals do, and when they don't do what they should, they have to be punished. And that's kind of the whole focus of a set of rules to operate by. Coach K instead believed that you should have standards that are developed by the team and enforced by the team, because it promotes teamwork. The team owns the standards because they come up with those standards. They then share the accountability for those standards. It brings a unity and a single-minded purpose. It defines who we are, not just what we're here to do, and it helps us to achieve victory in whatever the goal we have. And I'd like to read to you a short excerpt from the book that speaks to this very point. Coach K said, "I don't believe in rules. In developing teams, I don't believe in rules. I believe in standards. Rules don't promote teamwork. Standards do. When something is presented as a rule, you can't own it. You can't live it. Standards, on the other hand, are lived. That is what we do all the time. These are the things with which we hold one another accountable. And when standards are established as part of a group effort, they are understood and are capable of being embraced on a deeper level. Once a group of individuals formulate and agree to their standards, they become united, single-minded in purpose. Standards are simply the things that we already do. They compromise who we are." So it was sort of a revelation to me, certainly an unexpected one, to think in terms of standards. Now, he went on in his book to share the standards that were established by that team of all-stars. And again, this team was made up of LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and many, many of the other megastars from the NBA, the best player on their team, the star of stars on their team. Taking a group of all-stars and making a team of them seems like it would be pretty easy, but it is not. There are a lot of egos involved, and that's where setting the standards really made the difference for this team. And you can see on the screen that team got together and they hammered out a set of 15 standards that they wanted to live by, that they wanted to commit to during the time they were preparing for and competing in the Olympics. Now, each of these has a little bit of a context underneath. So as you look at the standards, for example, no excuse, what they really mean by that is we have what it takes to win. Great defense, that meant this is the key to winning the goal. We do the dirty work. Communication, we look at each other in the eye and we tell each other the truth. Trust, we believe in each other. Collective responsibility, we are committed to each other. We win together. Care, we have each other's backs. We give aid to a team, a teammate. Respect, we respect each other and our opponent. We're always on time. We're always prepared. Intelligence, we take good shots. We're aware of team fouls. we know the scouting report. Poise, we show no weakness. Flexibility, we can handle any situation, we don't complain. Unselfishness, we're connected. We make the extra pass. Our value is not measured in playing time. Now think about the players that we're talking about here. They play the whole game, and yet they're saying here, our value is not measured by playing time. That's a mindset change. Aggressiveness, we play hard every possession. Enthusiasm, this is fun. Performance, we're hungry, we have no bad practices. Pride, we're the best team in the world, and we represent the best country. That's the standards that the team came up with. And once they established the standards and they all committed to those standards, then Coach K didn't have to worry about upholding the standards because they did it themselves. He gave examples of when a player came to practice late. He didn't say anything to the player. Other players came around that individual and said, you're late to practice. You're hurting our team. You're not living up to the standards. You're not going to be late anymore. In that particular example, he never was late again. The playing time issue and so many of the others, they hold each other accountable because they made that unified commitment. So I was really impressed with this. I was impressed with the book, with the conference, and all of the unexpected ideas that it brought to me. And I thought to myself, I need to share this with my team. And so we had a meeting scheduled for a few months later after this conference. And I got a copy of that book, The Gold Standard, and I sent it to everyone. And I asked everyone to read the book in advance. And then we had our own meeting. And in our meeting, we decided on our standards. Tony, you probably recall this meeting. We spent pretty much a full day talking about what would make us a winning team. And we looked at examples from the Olympic team standards, from standards of other Duke teams. We put it in the context of what we do. And after a lot of discussion and back and forth, we came up with a set of 10 standards. Communication, what that meant for us was we have monthly team calls, conference calls, and we have monthly best practice discussions, and we have a one-on-one between me and each member of the team every month. That was the standard that we all committed to. For passion, we said every student matters. We want to show every student that we care, and we want to bring energy every day. That's what this team committed to. And this is a team of individuals who go on the road 3 weeks out of the month. They're teaching hundreds, literally hundreds of people during the course of the year to say that every student matters, that you want to show every student that you care, that you want to bring energy every day when you're already so tired you can hardly make it. That's a big commitment. But that's the kind of thing that came from this conversation, from this level of setting of standards. We win together, we lose together. We deliver, we have each other's backs. Commitment to excellence, relentless commitment. No one will question our commitment. We will not accept the status quo. Personally, as a team, there'll be no excuses. We are JLU. We live out our values of integrity, excellence, and innovation. We respect each other. We will be on time, and we value our family. Flexibility and innovation. We can handle any situation. We don't complain. Enthusiasm. This is fun. Make it fun for others. Confidence. We believe in our ability, and we believe in each other. And HSSE, which we actually added about a year or so later, is a focus on safety for ourselves, our students, and our family. So that was the set of standards that we came up with. And we have revisited that set of standards several times over the years and pretty much come back to that with a few minor modifications. but that's what the team has committed to. So the idea of standards versus rules, I hope, is resonating with each of you as a possibility that you could embrace. But how do you do it? Well, this slide kind of lays out the simple approach that it would take for you to adopt standards versus rules. First thing is there has to be an understanding and an agreement as to what the goal is. What do you need to accomplish as a team? What do you want to accomplish as a team? For us, it was pretty easy. We wanted to be the best training program in America. And in 2007, when I guess it was 2009 or 10 when we first put this together, we were a long way from that. And it was probably in the minds of many of us almost a pipe dream, but that was our goal. And we knew that if we followed these standards, we had a chance to reach the goal. So for you, you're probably thinking maybe of a financial goal or a accreditation goal or whatever it happens to be, award, whatever. The goal is probably going to be pretty easy to identify. But once you have that, then it's time to sit down with a team and get a set of standards on the board. Standards that will define that team. Everyone will have input. There has to be a foundation of trust for this to work. If one member of the team doesn't trust another member of the team, chances are they're not going to be very open and it's going to be difficult. So there's some foundation issues that have to be dealt with. But assuming we do that, with that trust, with everyone giving input and having comments about each of the standards, with open and honest communication. If you don't think, we're here to try to iron out a set of standards that we all, in the end, commit to. We all go around the room and say, yes, I commit to this. Yes, I commit to this. And then when we walk out of that room, those standards belong to all of us, and we share the accountability for it, for ourselves, and we hold each other accountable as well. And therefore, the results that come will be the results of the team effort. And then we have to have an ongoing individual and team assessment to see how we're doing relative to those goals, to keep them in the front of our mind. Now, for us to accomplish that, one of the tools that we came up with is that identifies those 10 goals, and every month, every member of the team goes in and does a self-assessment. And it's on a scale of 1 to 10. Do you feel like this month you were at a 9 for communication? Do you think you were at a 7? Maybe if we didn't have a best practice call, I'd lower the rating to 8. Whatever it happens to be, each of us does this. And then usually about 4 times a year in our one-on-one calls, I will talk with the individuals on the team about their individual assessment. And it's not something we use to determine performance. It's got no relationship with that whatsoever. It's all about how do you feel you're holding up your part of the standards? How do you feel you're doing relative to the standards? And when they go up, there's something to talk about. When it goes down, there's something to talk about. And I can remember examples where people would rate themselves lower on passion because they said, you know, when I taught that last class, I had some people that were really hard to deal with, and honestly, I didn't try hard enough. And I feel that I let them down. They may not know it, but I know it, and therefore I have to lower my rating for myself. But it also reminds me, and I'm committed to make sure next month that number is going to be back where it belongs. So that's how it helps to keep us. We came up with a couple of other unique tools from all of this. One member of the team laminated some calling card or business card size sheets that have the standards written on them. We have the first 5 on one side, the last 5 on the other, and they're laminated, and we all carry them in our wallet. We also had some larger sheets made up, a full page sheet that's laminated, and I have one of those right here at my desk. One member of the team got even more creative, and he went out and had someone etch into the face of a mirror the standards and had it framed, and I have that in my home. And when I look in that mirror, I see the standards and I see my reflection. And the obvious question is, am I reflecting those standards the way we committed to? So it has been really a revolutionary way of approaching our work as a team, and it has continued over time to be a source of strength and to remind us and to keep us focused. Now, what has it done for us? What's the end result? Well, the way we kind of measure that is a couple of ways. Our franchisees that we support through training do an evaluation every year for Jiffy Lube International and all the departments, marketing, operations, training, all of them. And the last survey that was done, we had an overall approval rating from our franchisees of 92%. Now, if you know anything about franchisees, you know you can't get 92 out of 100 franchisees to agree to take a $100 bill. So it is an amazing level of commendation for what we do. And every year the survey has been conducted. Since we were put in the survey, we've had the highest rating of any department in Jiffy Lube. So I feel like that is validation from our own community that we support, that we're doing what we need to do, and those standards are certainly helping us to do that. The other is through outside competition. We have competed in the AAATD Best Award. We came in first place in that award in 2011-12, and most recently in 2014, and again this year in 2016, we came in #1 in the Training Magazine Top 125 Award. So I believe that helps to validate that, one, we have accomplished that initial goal, and the standards that we have adopted have certainly helped us to do that. So we embraced the unexpected on those 2 occasions. Who would have thought a high school graduation exercise would have such an impact on the future? Who would have attending a leadership conference and hearing from a basketball coach would make such a profound difference in our team? But both of these has done just that for us. And I say that what happened to me, what happened to our team, is not unique. And I believe maybe for some of you, this presentation today was an unexpected source of inspiration. I hope it was. And who knows where the next one will come from. But if we are looking, we're listening, we're learning as we go, then we'll be in a great position to lead our team, our family, our community into much more amazing and profitable and successful ventures going forward. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, but I would be certainly open to any questions about what we've done or how you might apply it in your case or anything else that we've talked about today.
This is Ken. I'll jump in here while we wait and see if we get any comments or questions. Remember, you can type those in and we'll verbalize them if you're in a spot where you can't speak, and you can also raise your hand and we can open up your microphone if there's something you'd like to share related to Ken's presentation, or if you have a question for him. But Ken, I was curious. I remember thinking this last time, and I was like, well, maybe he says it later, and I just didn't catch it the first time. But I don't think you ever told us. Did you ever find out how you got that invite to that conference? Because it seemed like it was a very unique opportunity, and I think a lot of us would have reacted like you did, like they send this to everybody, and there's some catch to it. And it seemed like when you dug into it, there wasn't a catch to it. You just happened to be one of the very few that got selected. Did you ever find out how that happened and how you got chosen for that?
Really, after I had the phone call, I never really asked any more questions. I was just glad I had the chance. But I'm sure I was on a distribution list, maybe from having attended some other conferences. You know how they share those lists. Now, how I ended up getting one of the 2 free tuitions, I don't know. Maybe that was a random drawing, but sort of didn't look a gift horse in the mouth. Was happy to get to go. And on that trip, we got to attend the 3rd practice of the Duke basketball team, and we saw Coach K interacting with the team, and saw the organization that he had with the team. And I really kind of became a Duke fan that day because I just loved what he did and how he did it with his team. And as I said, that season they went on and won the national championship, so it was kind of an interesting connection point.
Very cool. And I see a couple questions pop in. And before I go to those, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Tony, but I do know Ken referenced you a couple times as being part of that team. I don't know, maybe you can think about this, if there'd be something you'd want to share from a perspective of kind of being a participant on that team. We kind of heard Ken's perspective as the leader of the team. It would be interesting to hear, your thoughts of that process as you went through it as well, if you're willing. So as you kind of think about that, let's see, we got a few questions that popped in, or a few comments. So from Sandra, Ken, she says, yes, for the last 5 days, I've been asking myself, what do I want to be known for? That does seem to be an important thing for a lot of us. What's going to be my legacy? What do I want my impact to be? So she says, yeah, I've been asking myself, what do I want to be known for? I could not come up with the words to articulate it. Integrity, excellence, and innovation sums it up for me.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear. This was that unexpected event that you can embrace, and it thrills me to hear that.
And we have another one, and let's see, before I read that, I see a hand. So I do see Tony's hand up, which is great. So Tony, I'll come to you after this. So Yolanda has commented here too, Ken. She says, Ken, clearly your process is totally innovative from what corporate America is used to doing. How did you convince your senior leaders to allow you to develop and implement this strategy?
That's a really good question, and I have my boss on the phone too, so I have to be real careful how I answer this. But he wasn't my boss at the time, so I think what really happened that was a big advantage to us, and probably a unique situation, having just been recently acquired by Shell, Jiffy Lube was in a way sort of set aside to operate as its own little company within the big company. And I was part of the HR group, and they were focused, at that time we had about 250 company stores, so their total focus was on keeping people hired and operating those stores. So they told me, these are our challenges for training, just do it. And so I had a lot of autonomy, a lot of freedom within the budget to do what we needed to do, and we were able to do some innovative things. Even in Jiffy Lube University, I had people after the fact that came to me and said, how did you get approval to do that? And I said, well, I guess I didn't, but now that it's happened, it's probably too late. But now it's viewed as one of the better learning platforms in all of Shell. So I think we had the opportunity, but I will say that after some of the success we had with team standards, excuse me, I was able to share it with some other leaders within Shell, and I know that some of them have also adopted standards with their teams. So I don't think it's that big of a break from the traditional that you would have a hard time selling it, but if you feel like you need to get permission, I think if you go to that supervisor and you have a plan and you share with them why you would like to try this and do it maybe on a one-year trial basis, and if it proves successful, you'll have ongoing approval. I think it's worth trying, and I can't imagine many that would deny you that chance.
All right, so I'm going to go to Tony, and then I did see another comment or question come in from Tammy, but let's go to Tony first. Tony, I just unmuted you, so we should be able to hear you. Tony?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess I'll just comment on the standards as you questioned. So as far as the standards are concerned, for us, I can speak also on behalf of the team. Ever since we've developed the standards, they really became living within us. And we all hold each other accountable. We all have conversations about them, whether it's weekly or monthly. And I can speak of many situations that I've held others accountable during telephone calls or via one-on-one, just calling a local peer, or others have held myself accountable as well. And I think the biggest thing for me, what really brings it to life is we follow them because we want to follow them, because it was our voice. It was something that we developed as a team. It wasn't something that was given to us. So I think that, to me, that's the biggest difference, is we do them because we want to do them, because it was something that we agreed upon, not because forced upon us and because we have to do it because it was a rule, so to speak. So I think that, to me, was the biggest difference. I'll give you a personal example of how it personally affected me. So when we developed the standards, I flew home, a few days after that, revisiting the standards, and I was kind of reviewing the standards, and one of the standards was we will not accept the status quo. And I started thinking about, well, what about myself? At that time, I didn't, I had some sort of college education, but I didn't have my degree. So flying home that night, I was very inspired to continue to pursue my degree, because here I was thinking about, and this was something we all agreed upon, so flying home that night, I thought about, well, what about me? What does that mean? What am I going to do to not accept who I am right now and be the status quo? So, through conversations and revisiting the standards and through conversations with Ken, I decided to pursue my degree. And, like Ken said, we revisit these standards, and that's what really kept me going and pursuing my degree. And I'll be happy to state, because of the standards, I've obtained my degree, and actually looking back to continuing to go back and pursue the master's as well.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's an example of how I use that.
One other thing that came to my mind as Tony was telling that story, we designed a new leadership training course that we teach to store managers and assistant managers all over the country, and Tony is one of the 6 franchise learning managers that do that. But we incorporated team standards in the content of that leadership training. So we're teaching that to our store managers and encouraging them to embrace that with their team. And we're able to do that because we can stand there and honestly look them in the eye and say, we do this as a team ourselves. So that's, I don't know how many have embraced the idea, but it's certainly something that we're proud of and proud to share.
Yeah, and I think in listening to both of you guys, the thing that stands out is, these standards aren't just something you guys came up with in a meeting, you wrote down, you put it up on a wall, and maybe every once in a while you reference it. I mean, these are living, it's a living thing for the group, to constantly reference. And the other word that really stuck out to me when Tony was sharing was that word accountable and accountability. And I think sometimes that gets a negative connotation to it. But in reality, I think, we want some accountability. I want to be held accountable. And if I'm slipping from, the standards for our group, a team, a company, or just for myself, I welcome somebody kind of reminding me, hey, man, this isn't you. Let's get back on track. So I think that's an important aspect of what Tony shared as well.
Yeah, agree.
And we have a comment here from Tammy, so I'm going to go to that. And if anybody else has a comment or question, please go ahead and type that in while I'm sharing this. Or if you also have something you want to share, if you raise your hand, I can unmute your microphone. But Tammy had said, sometimes just showing up, even when you don't feel like it, will present you with amazing opportunities and experiences for the future. I'm glad I showed up for your presentation today. Thanks for the confirmation.
That's great. Thank you. It warms my heart to hear that, and I've certainly gotten more out of this already than anybody.
Well, I'm not seeing any other questions or comments. I'm not seeing any hands raised. So I think that kind of brings us to a close. And not only did Ken give us some great information, and those of you that shared with us, Tony and the others, thank you. But it looks like you're giving us back 5 minutes of our day, which is always a bonus, right?
Oh, yeah. I will mention that if anybody who was on the call today has any follow-up questions or would like to discuss this in more detail, that how you might be able to apply it in your team, I would be happy to do that. You can contact me through my email address, kenneth.barber@shell.com, and again, I'll be more than happy to help if I can.
I'm going to type that into the chat, so that way if anybody wants to just copy and paste that, you have it. All right, well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Ken, for sharing this information with our ATD Houston membership. This session was recorded, so as long as that went well, I will be sharing it with the ATD Houston website team. You should see it posted to the ATD Houston YouTube channel within the next week if you want to review anything or share it with anybody else that you feel could find some value with this information. All right, well, thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.